Hi there, friends. I'll come in here with a quick note to let you know that the first global Product Owner Summit organized by the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is coming soon. To know more, check out the bit.ly/Product Owner 2023. That's bit.ly/Product Owner 2023. That's all one word, all lowercase. And stick around to the end of the episode to know more. But for now, on to the show. Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday Leading Change episode this week with Gemma Murray. Hey, Gemma, welcome back.
Happy hump day, Vasco.
Yes, absolutely. Wednesday is one of my favorite days, not the least of which, of course, because we get to talk about change. And change isn't always easy, but it's always there. So it's upon us to learn and master that aspect of our work. So, Gemma, tell us a story of a change process that you were involved with. And I wanted to go through it linearly through time. But as you go through that, highlight for us the tools, the tips, the tricks, and the techniques you used back then that you still apply today.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough, Vasco, to be involved in, quite large organizational changes and then all the way down to small, I suppose, micro changes within teams. I think one of the techniques that if you don't mind, instead of giving you one massive example of a large organizational change, I'll just tell you about some of the techniques that stuck through me through my years in Agile. And for me, it's always looking for the small commitment. So I'll bring this to life. For example, if a team is struggling with kind of capacity issues and they are maybe carrying things over naturally into sprint after sprint after sprint, and it's an issue that they want to solve, and they come up with a solution. Let's try story pointing. I always say to my teams, I'm looking for a small commitment here from you. I want 3 sprints to try this experiment that you've all agreed on. A minimum of 3 sprints, depending on how long the sprints are and what the team context is. But let's just say it's 3 sprints. And the reason why I go with that small commitment for the change is I tell them that the first time period, the first sprint, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel clunky. You're not going to be used to it at all. And you're going to feel like if you were experimenting with something, that it's a failed experiment if you only give it that 1 sprint. The second sprint, you'll have less cognitive load. You'll be used to it by that point. You won't stumble over the process as much, and you'll start to get more value out of it, hopefully. And then finally, the third sprint, that will give you your empirical data. You'll have 2 sprints that you can compare against each other to see if there has been an impact and what the type of impact is. So by asking for that upfront commitment from the teams, they feel like they're signing on for such a short period of time. But without doubt, one member of every team I've ever worked with in that first sprint will say, why are we doing this? This feels terrible. So because I've asked for that commitment up front, we kind of work through that really quickly going, I know it does. I know it feels terrible, but let's just do the next 2 sprints and then we will review it in the retro. And I find that approach really works no matter what type of change you're doing, whether it's a massive change, or even an individual change. Like if I'm trying to build a habit, I give myself 3 weeks. And if I can do it every day or every other day, then that helps me get started. And it's such a small commitment. But also in the large organizational changes, when I was part of the team that was bringing in a new agile delivery approach into the large retail bank I worked at, we looked for a small sample of teams, a small 5 teams they had the proper context, proper digital products that they were trying to develop that were a natural fit for Scrum. And we asked them to try it out and give us feedback. So there's always an opportunity to find a small, whether you want to call it an increment or a commitment or a small time period or a small sample that you can carry out your change through them, learn from it and adapt it before you scale up or you continue the practice.
This is so applicable to so many aspects. So as you were telling the story of asking for this small commitment, I was thinking about the kind of the tip that we've shared quite a lot here on the podcast, which is take it as an experiment. But you made it a lot more practical, because it is true, as you say, that if we take something as an experiment, but we only do it once, we don't really learn, right? Like I think the doing it 3 times as a minimum, whatever that is, I think is a great tip. Maybe it's 5 times for other things, but 3 times is a good place to start. And what I was thinking about that is, if I take this to the next level, like this can be applied to everything, right? Like it can be applied to stuff that you do personally, like you said, right? Like if you're learning a habit, it can be applied to a large organizational change, where small there may mean, as you said, a small number of teams. Perhaps if you're looking at a heavily regulated industry, you might look at a small number of teams that are in a non-regulated part of the product or service that they are building, right? Like to make it easier, to make it as easy as possible and to learn from it. So I was thinking, this is also true for us as Scrum Masters when we think about, what do I need to change with the product owner? That was one of the topics we were talking about on Monday. Or what do I need to change with the team behavior, which we talked about yesterday? It's like we can ourselves say, hey, let's do a small commitment here. Let me try something for 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 sprints, whatever that is. And then go and make it happen. And I think that this kind of heuristic is so powerful, right? Like it gets us into action right away. And then we worry about analyzing the data after those 3 tries. In this case, could be 3 sprints. I think that was very, very practical.
Yeah, and what it allows is, if it is a team or even an individual, is for them to use the initial conversation to actually talk about how they want to apply it. So they can really get into the depths of, so again, I'll go back to the story pointing example because it's just the easiest one. They can talk about whether they want to use planning poker. They can talk about whether they want to do it in their existing refinement sessions or they want to build another purpose-built session around that. They can talk about the hows, the cadences, the behaviors that they want to show, and they can really get into the meat of it. Because what happens at the end of the conversation is, and especially with my teams now, because they know it's coming, is I'm going to say to them, that's great. I love that detail. You've got a really, really solid action there that's attainable, timely, really worked through. I was like, but I want you to do it for 3 sprints. That's the bit that's missing. So, it helps the team as well because they really give it a go. And I think it actually energizes them in a way where it probably heads off a lot of the initial adverse reactions that you can sometimes get from trying something new. And because teams are very diverse, there's a lot of diverse individuals. You will naturally find that some people have more of a fixed mindset, and some people are more, of a growth mindset. But those people with a fixed mindset bring a level of risk awareness and practicalism that maybe the members of the team have more of a growth mindset potentially don't see. So it's helping them have a safety net around their experiment that helps both sides of the diverse ways of thinking, because they have a safety net for the people who are a bit more risk averse, but also for the ones that are the more growth mindset minded, they get to play around with this new thing that they want to play with. So it's just a really good way of providing an opportunity for those that truly don't get value out of this new experiment to have a gate where they can say, right, now we've done it for this period of time, let's chat about it. But it just naturally, I think, levels the playing field between individuals in the team to try something out, but give it a real good go. So I just help with the balancing act of the different approaches in the team as well.
Yeah, I want to highlight what you just said, which is this idea that even the people who might not be fully happy with what we are trying for 3 sprints, they will commit to those 3 sprints. And then at the end, they can say, hey, actually, this was much better than I thought. Or they can actually say, yeah, this didn't really work out for me because.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it levels the playing field. But obviously, you need that empirical data. You can't make any decisions based on opinion, not truly anyway. And I think giving it a real good go allows those people to have the evidence to back up their opinion, no matter what the opinion is, good or bad. And it'll also allow for, you don't have to eradicate the experiment straight away. There may be that it just needs a slight tweak. or it might need a little bit of a different approach. We didn't need that other session, actually. We could just do this in our refinement session now that we're used to it, as an example. And then you kind of adapt from there. But even with every adaptation, I always say, give it 3 sprints. It's like a little saying of mine now. I think people make a bit of a joke about it behind my back, but that's fine.
Yeah, give it 3 sprints, everybody. Start taking that phrase.
Yeah, exactly.
Start taking up that phrase. Tweet about it, write blog posts about it. Absolutely. Give it 3 sprints. Gemma, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing that story with us.
No worries, Vasco. Thanks for having me again.
Hi there, Agile friends. Thank you for sticking around. This year's first global summit dedicated to the product owner role in Scrum will have some amazing keynotes and 2 tracks filled with first-hand stories and experiences for product owners to learn more about that critical Scrum role. We'll have Roman Pichler, author and product expert, who will be answering your questions and sharing the most important aspects of the product owner role. We'll also have Colleen Johnson talking about why roadmaps are probably making your life much harder than it needs to be and what to do instead. This talk was quite a success in Agile Online Summit 2022, and Colleen has learned some new tricks, tools, techniques that she will share with us when it comes to roadmaps for the product owner role. And we will also have Henrik Nyberg, author of Scrum and Kanban from the Trenches, as well as one of the creators of the Spotify model. So come in and listen to his stories. And we'll also have, of course, 2 tracks with many more sessions and even some live sessions. The 2 tracks will cover practices every product owner should know, where we'll be hosting conversations on topics that product owners need to be familiar with, like product backlog refinement, planning, and much more. The second track will be on metrics, measuring product and personal success as a product owner. As product owners, it's crucial to have a clear understanding of what are the metrics that drive success for us, and of course also for the products and businesses that we work with. And we need to continuously measure and optimize those metrics. So in this track, we'll be sharing what's working and what's not in the area of measuring success for product owners. We will also have the opportunity to network with our peers. It's a network event, of course, so get your tickets and join our Slack. Go to bit.ly/product owner 2023. That's all one word, all lowercase. As always, we will have free tickets and VIP tickets, which will give you long-term access to the content of this summit. So check them out at bit.ly/product owner 2023, all lowercase, all one word. I'll see you on the summit floor.